What if Katniss never shot Coin? There are two things we need to consider here. First of all, if Katniss never planned to shoot Coin, and the second is whether in the moment Katniss either decided not to kill Coin or she failed to actually kill her. Because if it's the second scenario, Katniss and Haymitch had already voted yes for the Hunger Games to occur with capital children. And whether Katniss decides in the moment not to shoot Coin, or whether she fails to actually kill Coin after shooting her, then those Hunger Games would have occurred. And I'm struggling to see a situation where they live with themselves after that. We know that Katniss was planning on killing herself after she shot Coin. We know that she was struggling to bear living in a world without Prim. And if she fails to kill Coin, or if she decides not to do it in the moment, and those Hunger Games then occur with the capital children, I can't really see her. But in the immediate aftermath, I can see Haymitch trying to stop the games from occurring because he trusted Katniss and he knew that Katniss had a plan bigger than just the Hunger Games occurring with capital children. He knew deep down that Katniss was doing something else. And so I can see Haymitch realizing that Katniss had failed in that task and trying to stop the Hunger Games from occurring. But in this scenario, I can also see Coin saying, "You already voted, it's happening." And that's where I think the real struggle would then come in for Katniss and Haymitch especially. And though it's very depressing, I don't see Katniss and Haymitch being able to live well with that level of guilt. They might have gone back to District 12 and they might have tried to live their life. They would have known what was going on. They would have known there was another Hunger Games occurred and they would have known it was their fault. And though Coin says it's just a single one-off Hunger Games, we have no guarantee that that's the case. And even if it is just one Hunger Games, that is still 24 more children being killed, all in the name of keeping the peace. When in actuality, we know that it's all in the name of keeping control. But if it's the first scenario and Katniss never plans on actually killing Coin at all, then I don't think Katniss would have voted for another Hunger Games. But that doesn't mean that Coin still wouldn't have had the chance to be that power-hungry dictator and turn into something a lot like Snow. We had already been seeing the signs that Coin was incredibly strict and incredibly ruthless. And to a degree, she had the potential to be worse than Snow. When we see District 13, we see that it is much stricter than the capital, with much more rules and much less freedom. The citizens have little to no control over their own lives. Their days are structured by the letter and they are constantly surveilled and monitored. And though they are constantly monitored and on camera in the capital, it is much more intense in District 13. And that structure and that militaristic level of control is what helped District 13 survive. They needed that structure and they needed that control, especially when they were getting through those years with the plague. And so Coin essentially became the perfect situational leader for a crisis, a very specific crisis. But that was not the same thing that was happening at the end of the series. Once they overthrow the capital, there's no longer that incredible need for exerting control over people. But that is the way that Coin knows how to lead. And Coin and Snow are both incredibly ruthless as leaders. Snow is very clever when it comes to punishments and using people's emotional attachments to each other against each other. And when he says to Katniss at the end, he's not wasteful, he means it. And this is where Coin has the potential to be worse than Snow. Because while Coin is incredibly calculated, she is also ruthless to an unnecessarily cruel level. At the end of the series, when the pen full of capital children are bombed twice, Snow makes the point that the war had already been lost by then, so it was just a waste of life. And if Coin wanted Prim dead, there were so many other ways she could have killed Prim. But the method she chooses is by bombing innocent children. And it meant that no one was going to follow Snow anymore, and that everyone would fall in line to her. Because despite winning the war, she still needed that army to follow her. And they did. And they might have afterwards had Katniss not killed Coin. So even had a symbolic Hunger Games not occurred, that level of power and that level of restriction of freedoms couldn't go unchecked. So I think had Katniss not killed Coin and the Hunger Games not have occurred with the capital children, I do believe another revolution would have had to have occur and was almost inevitable to occur because the extreme oppression was still there. It just had a different face.